see each of you here. Maybe the rain has moved out. Maybe we'll get some pretty weather here this week. Appreciate all the men who participated in leading our worship. We pray to God that He accepts our worship to Him, and it's our intentions that it be in accordance with His will. Very happy Mother's Day to each one of our mothers and grandmothers and other ladies in our lives. We appreciate you so much. It's been about 40 years now or so when my mother was having some dizzy spells. Early one morning, my brother had taken her to the Baptist Hospital in Jackson for a second attempt at an MRI. Joyce had actually spent the night with her in the hospital that Friday night, but due to some mix-up in scheduling, they sent her home to come back on that particular Monday. My brother was sitting in a small room adjacent to that MRI that she was having done, and he says when he heard that code blue announced and he saw the rush towards the MRI room, he knew something was wrong. He knew it was Mama. She was the only one back there at that time. Now, while my brother was having to endure silence from the hospital, I was at work. Around 10 a.m. that morning, the call came to me that Mama had a brain aneurysm that had burst during the MRI. And the MRI actually captured that entire event happening. Mama went into a coma, and by the time I had arrived, they had determined that Mama was brain dead. But they had her on life support. Now this can't be. Mama, brain dead? Something's wrong here. You know, y'all got to get back in there and make another assessment, because this can't be right. This can't be right. Mama, open your eyes. Say something. Give me some kind of sign, Mama. Please. You know, over the next 4 days or so, my brothers and sisters agonized over, well, let's see, just when was it the last time that I spoke to her? What was it that I said that has turned into be the last thing that we spoke about? Now, wait a minute. Are you sure she's really gone? You mean I won't be able to say anything to her again and her understand it? You know, this can't be happening. She's only 63 years old. She's only collected one Social Security check. This can't be right. Now, my dad, who was 80 years old at the time, over my entire lifetime, I felt like Daddy was going to die first, not Mama. When Mama died, I suddenly realized my dad's 80 years old, and I'm afraid it won't be long before he dies. Well, as the world turns, it didn't take but 3 months for my dad to have a massive heart attack that rendered him almost dead. And he and we suffered for 3 months after that until he did die. So within a period of 6 months or so, you know, I had lost Mama and Daddy. Eventually there with Mama, we had to discuss the removal of life support. What were we going to do? Folks, this is one of the toughest decisions you'll ever make in your life. And for those of you who don't already have an advanced medical directive, I encourage you to get one of those and talk to your family about that, about just what your wishes are and about how you would like this part of your life to be handled. My brother states that Mama had asked him to stop at a new park along Highway 49 down around Pocahontas right before you get into Jackson, and she had gotten out and she had walked under the trees, my brother says, and she had walked through the grass and just kind of looking around. You know, I can't help but think, wonder what was she thinking at that time? What was it that made her want to stop? Did she have some type of feeling about maybe what might happen within the next hour? As she was being rolled into the MRI, I was busy at work handling what I thought was some of the most important work in the world. When she was rolled into the MRI, I was at work making decisions that I thought had to be the most important decisions that had to be made at that time. When she was rolled into the MRI, I was at work thinking that the whole organization would fold if I wasn't there. I was busy at work thinking I was needed to help pilot the ship. I was busy at work, and to be honest with you, had forgotten that Mom was even having an MRI that morning. Over the next few days, we took turns going in there to hold her hand, to rub her arm, to tell her all the things maybe that we hadn't said, or to apologize for the things that we had said. We poured our hearts out to her, and every so often it seems like, that she would kind of grasp your hand. But we were told by the doctors that was just the movement of her body with the breathing machine. We were trying to grab for anything that she might have left. I've told you this before, and I know for a fact that there are some times when a sick person is ill that they may be totally out of it, but they can hear. I know I was like that at one time in a serious sickness. I could not move at all. Open my eyes, wiggle my pinky, whatever. Couldn't do it, but I could hear everything that was being said. So, we went in there knowing that it was possible, even though the doctors had said that Mama was brain dead, it was possible that maybe she could hear us. So with tears running down our eyes, we would go in there, trying to get some sort of response. And during the fourth night, without us having to make that dreaded decision, the once unthinkable happened. Mama died. Folks, it hits hard. It hits hard. Immediate disbelief. What am I to do without Mama? She's my rock. She's my person I depend on. She's the one that I talk to. She's the one that gives me that lift when I need it. She's the one who I can count on when everybody else is gone or don't want to talk to me. You know, some silly things go through your mind. I remember on Mother's Day, us kids would run out to the rose bush and get a yellow, yellow, what I'm talking about, that's Joyce's favorite color, but get a red rose and pin on our coat there as we go to church, you know, and we'd get Mama the white corsage because that denotes your mom being dead, you know, and I suddenly realized, you know, that I would have to find a white flower now. or you think about the time on Mama's birthday there one time that I gave her a set of pots and pans. Now wasn't that nice of me? Pots and pans, Norman, you've got to be crazy. The only thing that would be worse than pots and pans would be bathroom scales or something like that. Man, where in the world did I come up with pots and pans? I was so ashamed. There was another time that I got her a little rocking chair. Mama couldn't get down in it or out of it without somebody helping her. I'm sure that's what she wanted too, you know. And I started thinking, oh, you didn't give any thought at all to any of these gifts that you was giving to your mama. It just seemed like you went out there and grabbed something. Yeah, this'll do, you know. And then, you know, you think about those times that you'd want to call her but didn't. You'd want to go see her, but something else came up. And it's amazing how many really important things can come up in one's life to stop you from doing those things that you should be doing. I'll never forget that 4 a.m. call from my brother. He said, Mama just died. Mama just died. Your life changes immediately and forever. As we turn in the New Testament, we find in John 19, John 19:26, while Jesus was there hanging on the cross. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved, that would be John, standing nearby, he said to his mother, Woman, behold your son. Then he said to the disciple, Behold your mother. And from that hour, the disciple, that would be John, took her, that would be Jesus' mother, Mary, into his own household. Jesus knew life would change, even for his mother. Jesus knew that after he was gone, Mary may need some things. Mary may need some support. Mary may need something. And so he chose John as the last act of love. Jesus instructs John to take care of his mother. Mary was certainly a widow at that point. We don't hear anything about Joseph at all after that occurrence in the temple when Jesus got lost, or Jesus was left behind there when he was 12 years old. And this certainly shows Jesus's willingness to obey that one of the 10 commandments, to honor his mother. Now, if Jesus had lived, he would be one, logically, who had assumed the head of household. But he chooses to pass this on to John. And over the years, I did wonder, why he chose John. And then I said, okay, I got to look at this a little further. And it seems to me that that Jesus chose John over his other brothers. Now, there were some other brothers and possibly sisters. We don't know. We know for sure one, but other, may have been others. But in John 7 and verse 5, we find something, and we all were aware of this. John 7 verse 5, it says, "For not even his brothers were believing in him." So his brothers did not believe that who Jesus was. And we must remember that even the closest disciples and apostles scattered when Jesus was arrested. Nothing is said regarding Jesus' brothers. They were probably hiding, thinking that they may be next. None of his brothers were there at the foot of the cross. We're not even told that they were watching from afar. None of his brothers were there to see him through the trial, the beatings, the mockings. They weren't there. They were absent. And it certainly stands to reason that Jesus would have picked someone who he thought he could trust. Well, his brothers didn't even believe in him, so why wouldn't he pick somebody who did? And that was John. Now, that's what I've put together. You do your study and own study, and I'll love to talk. The Old Testament laws made it pretty clear. Caleb read Exodus 20 and verse 12, "Honor your father and your mother." What does it mean to honor? Well, we've got a couple of verses there, a little bit over there. Exodus 21 says, "And he who strikes his father or mother shall be put to death." Exodus 21:17, "He who curses his father or mother shall be put to death." New Testament laws are clear as well. Exodus 6:2, "Honor your father and mother." Verse 3, "that it may be well with you." You can't treat your mother or father, for that reason, with disrespect, or be cross, contemptible, unpleasant, demeaning, disrespectful. Really, all we need to do is remember that one day it may be your mother there in ICU and you're in there holding her hand. And it could be that one of these tense, terse conversations that we may have from time to time may have been the last thing that she heard from you. What would you want to be the last thing that your mother, that your mama, that your mom the stabilizer of your life, what would you want her to be the last thing from you that she heard? What would that be? What would that be? I didn't remember the last conversation, but I do remember that my mom and I were on really, really good terms. There was nothing ever between us. And I told her that I loved her on many occasions, and as we left, would always give her a hug and tell her I love you. I know that was practically all the time. I know that. Now, I know some members of my family, my siblings, a couple of them, there was some pretty tense moments. So I'm not sure about what their last conversation was. There's no excuse for us mistreating our mothers, our mamas. And to those of you who have your mothers living, please take advantage of those moments that you could spend with them. And those of us whose mothers have died but have spouses, please take advantage of that time. I know there's a person, if there's someone out there in our lives who need someone to just say, yes, I do care. Yes, I do love you. You are not forgotten. Somebody is out there that you can help. The Bible tells us in Romans 13:6 to give honor to whom honor is due. And of course, who else other than God and Jesus in our lives would fall into that category of really deserving honor more than our own mothers, than our mamas? Mamas are special. You notice on TV, even these burly football players, when something happens and they pan the camera over there, what do they say? Hi, Mom. Hi, Mama. Hello. Or thanks, Mom, or something like that. What can we do? What can we do? Quickly, let me run through a few things we can do. We've talked about it already, but we can love our mothers, mamas verbally. A lot of men say, well, I don't have to say I love you. You already know it. I've already told you that once, and if I change my mind, I'll let you know. Please. Please. Some say, well, I don't have to say it. I'll just show you. And I understand that. But we also got to understand that the women within our lives need to hear, I love you. I love you. Children need to hear it. Spouses need to hear it. Very quickly, there was a letter to Dear Abby. It says, I enlisted shortly after Pearl Harbor. 36 days later, I was on my way to the Philippines. En route, the Philippines fell to the Japanese, and we were routed to Australia. 11 days after we landed, I met the most beautiful girl in the world. On our first date, I told her I was going to marry her, and I did 18 months later while on a 10-day R&R leave from New Guinea. After more than 57 years of marriage, 2 children, my beloved Mary died 5 days before Christmas. Although we agreed that our ashes were to be scattered over the mountains, I found I could not part with hers. While Mary was alive, she would frequently say, you don't know how much I love you. I'd reply, likewise. I never said, I love you. Now her ashes are on my dresser where I tell her several times a day how much I love her, but it's too late. As my dearest was dying and we thought she was comatose, I told her, there aren't enough words to tell you how much I love you. A few hours later, she whispered, not enough words, and she died. The reason I'm writing is to encourage and urge men to express their feelings while their loved ones are alive. I don't know why, but many men are reluctant to express the depth of their feelings. Some men say, I'm just not comfortable with it. Guys, we need to then be uncomfortable. We need to say, I love you, verbally. Yes, and we also need to love her physically. When's the last time you gave your mother a big hug? When's the last time you embraced her and held her? When's the last time you did that? Or gave her a kiss on the cheek? When was the last time you did that? When was the last time you gave her a neck rub? I remember my mother loved neck rubs. Loved neck rubs. Or just sat on the couch next to her. When was the last time you did that? You know, she was the first person who ever touched you. She wrapped you up in her womb for months. And afterwards cuddled, stroked, rubbed, gave you a finger to grasp. In love, she did all these things. She wouldn't mind getting all that slobbery sugar. She changed your diapers, potty trained you, held the Kleenex, wiped the food off your face. A big hug. Would mean more than flowers, candy, eating out, necklace. We should love our mamas verbally and physically. And also we should love her patiently. How often we get so impatient with people, even our own mothers. They have an incredible job without any pay. No position in the business world compares to that job that mama has. She rises up at break of day, and through her task she races. She cooks the meals as best she may and scrubs the children's faces, while school books, lunches, homework too, all need consideration. Yet that old census man lists her as she has no occupation. When breakfast dishes are all done, she bakes a pudding maybe. She cleans the rooms up one by one with one eye watching the baby. The mending pile she then attacks by way of variation. And yet again, that old census man insists she has no occupation. She irons for a little while, then presses pants for daddy. She welcomes with a cheery smile returning lasses and laddies. A hearty dinner next she cooks, no time for relaxation. And yet again, that old census man says she has no occupation. Don't ask mama the question, do you work or do you stay at home? And yet, many times today, mamas work outside the home and then come home and work within the home. Here's the point. In spite of everything that she does for us, we often still become impatient. We shouldn't. Love her patiently. Teens, junior high, children, love your mamas. Be kind, considerate, and patient. Love her attentively. Mothers, listen as you pour out your heart. She has a sympathetic ear always to you. Remember how she listened and understood and was always at your side. It's no wonder we like to talk to mom. She listens. But now, at this age, she might have issues, and it's your turn to be her rock and time to listen. It's payback time. But you say she's always complaining. Yes, just like you did. She always talks about herself, and she asks that same question over and over. Yes, just like you did. It is said that we are once an adult, but twice a child. Maybe. It is. And in their older days, our mother may have fears and anxieties. What are we as mom, son, or daughter going to do to help? Because you see, maybe one of these days we might be in their shoes. Yes, we should love her attentively and patiently, and we should love her gratefully. She needs a sincere thank you from us. She needs that. Folks, understand that you are living the best days of your life right now if you've got your mother and you've got your children. Understand, these are the best days of your life when you have them both. Take advantage of that. Because this, too, will not last. Love her generously. There's nothing too good for her. Don't buy her pots and pans. Don't buy her a rocking chair that she can't even get in. Give some thought to what you buy your mother. Love her honorably. If the husband is the head of the home, then the mother is the heart of the home. Don't break her heart. Don't abuse her, use her, forsake her, or forget her. Lord, help us never to be too busy to visit with Mom. And help us to love her while we have her in our lives. Jesus showed us an example of what real love is. To lay down his life, to sacrifice his life, to give up his life, to love others more than himself. For our mothers, we need to understand to do that. And I encourage you to tell your mother, tell your mama how much you love her. This morning, if for any reason you have not been baptized but would like to understand how much God loves you by setting up this methodology called grace, where we can believe in him and understand what it means to obey and be baptized and become a part of his family. And we love God so much because he loved us to see fit to give us this way to live with him forever in heaven. I want us all there together, and we can help each other today get there. For some reason you've wandered away. You've not treated God as you should have. If you'd like to come back to him, we can help and pray for you today as well. Stand now while Chris leads us in the invitation song.